Greetings, TheWarOwl greets you, and welcome to One More Round, the show where I present my own unpopular opinions, which eventually get misrepresented and used to attack me. I can already hear the sharpening of pitchforks of people who sincerely believe that I support smurfing. This time I want to blabber on about the concept of paid mods on Steam, more generally, and then how it could be implemented in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Mods are modifications of existing games that amateur game developers do in their spare time. It is a creative outlet, a learning experience, a way to implement unique experimental ideas without the cost of creating an entire game from scratch. One of the most renowned mods in history is a little game we like to call Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, the entire MOBA genre with Dota 2, and the entire open-world zombie survival genre with DayZ started out as mods. They are a hotbed for creativity and innovation in the gaming industry where AAA titles like to poop out the same thing over and over again year after year. I myself, as a youngster, was active in the modding community for Half-Life. It was how I originally got interested in software development. Valve has had a long history of supporting modding communities, even going so far as to hire folks full-time out of the modding communities, a good way to find talent in the gaming industry, if they were impressed by the work that they saw. The move of creating the Steam Workshop as a way for the community to create game assets and get paid for them is as always a brilliant move from Valve that allows young, fledgling artists with an interest in game development a foot in the door, and experience creating and shipping something. The natural progression of this system to expand is not just game assets, but entire game modifications. This would allow modders the ability to actually get paid for their work and would encourage greater, more fleshed out mods, which is really a win-win for everybody involved. The first game to be used as sort of a guinea pig for this idea was Bethesda's Skyrim, a game whose community is heavily based upon mods. There is a large and thriving mod community for Bethesda titles. It seems like the natural progression of events to introduce this system there. The problem is that upon announcing the addition of paid mods, where the game developers and the modders themselves would get a share of the profits, the community erupted in backlash against the idea. The counter-argument, not to straw man here, so rather my understanding of the counter-argument, was simply that people didn't want to pay money for mods, and that by introducing this system, they felt many of the things they expected for free would now be behind an additional paywall. This is actually not completely the case in reality though, because when you introduce monetary compensation to both the developers and the modders, it opens the door to cooperation between those two parties. Developers will make it easier to incorporate mods to the game, giving the modders support, and at the same time, the modders can actually make a good career out of modding games, allowing them to do it full-time or hire and recruit more talented modders and devote themselves to creating a product that people are actually willing to pay money for. The stuff gets better. It is the unfortunate reality that once you give someone something for free, they take it for granted. It is selfish and short-sighted, but cynically understandable. The Skyrim community will probably exist completely oblivious or completely in oblivion, see what I did there, to all of the exciting possibilities that they just missed by rejecting a system where the community gets compensation for creating extra content for a game. I think the idea would have been better received had it been on the ground floor, available and implemented at the inception of the game, so people didn't feel that they were going to have to pay for something that they already thought they were getting for free. Let's see if Fallout 4 can figure out the right way to implement this sort of a thing. If they are going that direction, it stands to reason that Fallout 4 would be that platform where they introduce it. Also, as a YouTuber, I've learned to just ignore the haters and do yo thing. But I don't really have an understanding of the extent of the backlash. If there were enough people opposed to the idea that it represented like a majority of the community and would hurt future sales of their titles, then it made sense to back off. However, if it was just some kids venting their frustrations at having to pay $5 for what amounts to DLC, which we see all over the interwebs these days, they probably should have just ignored them and released the system. If they were confident the system would result in some awesome content, they should have just went ahead with it. Now we turn our attention to Counter-Strike, a game where microtransaction and community-created content is already a very real and accepted thing. In fact, I myself had content within the game. Check out the TheWarOwl sticker. It's TheWarOwl, it's me. Look at that. My idea, which I believe I've represented before in some way or another, is to have paid mods or custom game modes within Counter-Strike. I want you to imagine the CSGO menu screen. You click play and are greeted with a choice of game modes. Wouldn't it be awesome if you had to pay $5 or so to access a assassination mode or a survival games mode or a custom mode yet to be developed? fully fleshed out, proper mods. Maybe a zombie survival game or a single-player campaign. We've already seen what's possible for mods for Counter-Strike, many different proofs of concepts, roughly hashed out, ugly, incompetent, half-assed, but promising proofs of concept. Now imagine if folks had the monetary incentive to really commit themselves to creating something amazing, instead of merely being a pastime hobby. Modding could be the platform for real innovation, for budding game developers to test their skills in the real world, to create and ship something under the weight of an existing IP like Counter-Strike, where millions of people are already playing the game. That kind of exposure is very promising. I'd rather pay for a really awesome mod than pay for some half-assed ugly greenlight game on Steam. And the best part, it's exactly what Counter-Strike needs for longevity. People get burnt out doing 5v5s all the time, and the other game modes are fairly lackluster. I'm sure all the other true Scotsmen out there, along with me, true Counter-Strike gamers, don't enjoy the wall hacks and arms race, the spawn protection and weapon restrictions in deathmatch, and casual mode in any way, shape, or form. I know I used a logical fallacy to support, like I made it pretty obvious. I'm fairly transparent, folks. Counter-Strike has always had fun, engaging, interesting mods, like WC3 mode, which was basically turning the game into like an RPG, or bunny hop and surf modes, which was exploiting different movement mechanics within the game, or mini games, which was basically like Mario Party. It's time to unleash the community and really see what folks can come up with, because as it is right now, the only redeeming factor of Counter-Strike, the only reason to play, is the competitive esports aspect of the game, which you know I personally adore. But for the 99% of people like myself who suck, it'd be nice to have a kiddie pool to play in while the grown-ups swim laps, or at least have a badass water slide. The Counter-Strike community is not the Skyrim community. We already see the benefits of monetary incentives for community-created content. It started with Team Fortress 2 and expanded to most of Valve's title. It works. The only negatives are having to pay extra money, but you get what you pay for, and if you want to pay nothing, well, you do the math. Think about it. Instead of opening 2 cases, you could have a brand new game within a game, have all kinds of fun with it, hours and hours of entertainment, instead of possible skin that doesn't suck, but you probably get something you don't want anyway. It's a waste of money. Why? If anything, it would also be great, even without the whole paid aspect of it, to just get some kind of integration of custom game modes in Counter-Strike. Because as it is right now, people seem to just be stuck doing the same thing over and over again, and get burnt out just doing competitive all the time. I'm speaking from experience. I want to do something fun. Thanks for listening to me ramble. If you disagree with me, agree with me, have something to add, would like to discuss something further, provide feedback, talk about your favorite breed of puppy, or spam memes like diabetes, there's a comment section. I'm genuinely curious what you fine folks have to say, and I'm working on growing thicker skin since I'm making YouTube my career, so don't go easy on me, lay it on me hard. That was kind of a weird thing. Yes, I actually do read the comments, despite my better judgment. So who's that, bro? It's Pimp from Team Dignitas, the Danish B team. Thank you folks very much for watching. I am TheWarOwl, and I still have no closer. Diabetes.